Hello and welcome. I'm Peggy. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day. And we're heading into something that is the most beautiful time of the year, the holiday season and Christmas. And Christmas to me is phenomenal. It's just something I just can't envision life without Christmas. And, all the memories, the baking of the cookies and all the stuff. It wasn't how much money you spent, but it's the things you were able to do if you had a family that you could enjoy and be together. And that is the ultimate blessing to me. And I have Dr. Roger Rhoades here, and he is a family therapist. And I asked Dr. Rhoades if he would talk a little bit about holiday stress. Well, he came in and sat down, and before we went on the air, he started telling me about all this stress. And I'm so stressed out, I don't know where to begin.
Yeah, I'm supposed to relieve stress, not bring it in with me. But it's such a stressful time for so many people, Peggy. And a lot of people are going to have a disastrous time during the holiday season because of poor planning, poor communication. And certainly in this show, we want to encourage people to step up and to be clear about their rules and clear about the people that are involved in their holiday season.
All right. A lot of people are stressed out because they live so far from each other, and they try to get together, and there's something missing if you don't have a contact and have family close by. Like when I was a girl growing up, I had my father's family and my mother's family. And we had two big Christmases, one on Christmas Eve and one on Christmas Day. And we alternated years. So one year would be my father's family at Christmas Eve. The next year, my father's family on Christmas Day. And we had all these I had all these childhood memories that are priceless. And it wasn't how much money somebody spent.
Right.
That wasn't it at all. It was being with people that you loved. And people who treasured you. And I think the tragedy of this country is that we've lost a lot of that.
Yes, I think one of the things we who are older have forgotten is the push of consumerism. You know, when we were young, we were not inundated every day in every way.
You have to have this. You have to have that.
And spend. You know, one of the things we talked about before the show was Dave Ramsey, who talks about people who spend so much during the holiday season that it takes them all year, all the rest of the next year, to pay off the debt of Christmas. And that was not the case years ago. If you couldn't afford something, you didn't buy it. And if you needed to make it, you made it. But you didn't put yourself in debt. And you just weren't hammered, buy. And if you love your kids, if you love your grandkids, buy. And you'll pay for something that they'll play with for a second, and then they'll throw away. I know I was with one family who made some stuff for their kids, but when their kids wanted to play with something, they brought out their pots and pans. And the kids were as happy as they can be. They banged the pots and pans and played with them and everything. And then the parents cleaned it up and everybody was happy. But those kind of things are less and less, and people are put under so much pressure to perform. You talk about Christmas. One of the stories I love to watch during Christmas is about Scrooge. And I love that because the point of that story is about what England was like pre that story, how people were ugly to each other and disrespectful to each other and didn't care at all for each other and did not in any way try to leave a legacy. And I think America better watch it, because I think they're getting closer to that, to where they're not concerned about the interaction between human beings. And they don't own the fact that, like you said, we all used to live together. Everybody understood how you behaved. But that's not the way it is today.
People are far, different parts of the country, sometimes even different parts of the world.
Without a doubt. I mean, and so the other 364 days, behave a particular way, live in a particular culture, operate, and they're fine. And they're the kings of their domain. But then they get in a car or a plane, they fly in, and they're back into the rules of the people there, if there are any rules. Sometimes it's just a melee of, we're just all going to show up and act as if we're close. Hoo-wee. That is a formula for disaster. When you assume how somebody is going to behave during the holidays, during Christmas or New Year's, that is a formula for disaster, Peggy. You're going back to when that person was 10 years old. That person may be 40 or 50 years old now. No. Deal with them in the here and now. Have a 2017 holiday season. Deal with people the way they are now. And don't leave them uninformed. Some people are not mean and crazy and act out. They just don't know any better. What they would say is, well, this is the way I act every day. Well, that's fine where you live. But when you come here, this is the way. This is the structure. This is the expectation. And here's the point. You're welcome if you're willing to be obedient to the here and now rules. But if you want to operate the way you operate the rest of the year, please choose to stay at home. Stay where you are. We'll miss you. We'll wish you the best. But we don't need that here, because when one style meets another style, things get pretty ugly pretty fast. And everybody's going to stand up and say, I'm in the right. This is the way I act every day. This is who I am. And the other people are going, can't we all just get along? But see, back in the day, everybody agreed. They were different back then. They just agreed. This is the way we're going to be. I can remember my family saying, this is the Christmas or holiday dress. This is the outfit you're going to wear. We didn't get a choice. My mother said, this is the outfit you're going to wear. Everybody put on their outfit to go to the holiday greeting. We all got our mindset in a great way. We knew that there was acceptable and unacceptable behavior before we got there. And that if we acted out, we were pulled aside and given one warning. And our parents say, now, you might be a little loose here, but we don't do that here. You don't mess with your grandparents' guns. That was one of the things I can remember. Don't mess with them. Those are their guns. They're in the gun case. Don't mess with the case. If we mess with the case, we were talked to. If we couldn't keep our hands away from it, we were sent to the car. Sit in the car for a while, think about it. Because we can't have somebody in the house that behaves that way. But what we've gotten into is that whole attitude, we all get along. We need to be acceptable. But people just smile in your face, but they stab you in the back. And they say, they point the finger at the relatives and they blame their relatives and they get into ugly things. And that's not what the holiday season's about. The holiday season is about loving and caring. And number one thing that the holiday season ought to be about, Peggy, is respect. I've never seen anybody who felt respected and gave respect who didn't have an awesome holiday moment. They were all happy. And they walked away and said, well, we live different lives, but I felt respected. When I said we're going to do it this way, they did it that way. That may not have been the way they did it every time, but that's the way they did it at our house. And we felt respected. And that makes for that. Oh, it's amazing how people are happy with that. But when people just go willy-nilly and show up, and I'm going to do what I want to, and I'm going to act my way, and we're going to imagine that we're all 10 years old in jammers again, that's a setup for failure. And people just go out of bounds when that happens. But when people all understand that there's a particular way we're going to act, see, that's what you're talking about. When people come to my house, this is the way they act. When people go to church, this is the way they act. You know, and I tell people, if you don't like the way they act at that church, that's not the only church in town.
Yeah.
Go down the block. If they don't like flip-flops and short shorts at this church, some church they're going to be okay with flip-flops. But what I see is people say, I'm going to wear whatever I want to wear, whenever I want to wear it, and people just stick it in people's noses and then wonder why people are not cordial to them, not nice to them. Well, you're just sticking it in people's noses. No, go where people are of like kind, get together and work together and have a central focus. That's when you really talk about holiday spirit for people. They have a single focus. When everybody goes to your house and acts holiday-ish, I bet you have a happy time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is some people are very unclear about that, Peggy. And they just, I just want this year for my brother-in-law or my sister's husband to behave. But I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to expect anything from them. I'm just going to hope they act that way. And then the people show up and misbehave, and I see they throw up their hands and they say, "Oh, my whole holiday season's ruined." And I said, "Well, how much did you communicate your expectations?" And they said, "Well, we didn't do that." And I said, "Well, then you were setting them up to guess how to act. Don't set your family up to guess. Say, at our house, this is what we're going to do. Does that work for you?" And get the person if they're on the phone or if you're talking to them face to face, to agree. Yeah, that'll work for us. Good. So we're in agreement. Man, that's a great holiday moment. That's a great holiday moment. People know how to behave, or go to church. In church, we're going to wear a suit and tie. And when they wear a suit and tie, they go, "Man, church was wonderful." Oh, the same church that wasn't wonderful for flip-flops and short shorts? Yeah, huh? Well, do you think it was about the church? Or do you think it about how you handled the church? Wow, there we go. And that's what people are encouraged to think about right now. It's the perfect time. There could not be a more perfect time if you're going to spend your holiday with someone, to call them, to talk to them, to see.
And plan ahead.
Yes.
What you're going to have and what the dress code is, or what are we going to do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And everybody, you've got to have a plan, and you've got to communicate that plan to the people who are going to be part of that plan.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. That's our plan. And then we're going to come right back, and Dr. Rhoades is going to wind up here with some really good advice for all of us. We'll be right back.